Friendo, Steve here. Welcome back to the channel. So you guys left a bunch of great questions once again. This is Ask Russell Juice, and I'm going to answer your questions. Actually, we had 69 in today's episode, but I'm not going to read them all. I'm going to start with this one, though. J. Mark Nohada says, if it's true, what is your opinion on CM Punk's contract being bought out? Recently been reading reviews and comments on how AEW has been flourishing despite the Elite and Punk not being present nor mentioned during their weekly shows. I think that that's probably the likely scenario. It seems like I've read the same reports that backstage things are better at AEW. The program's been good. The rating's been good. And hopefully Tony Khan will remember never to give that person or any person that much leverage when he sits next to him and says, this is the plus delta, let's go. Yeah, it's a group effort. It's the stories that you generate. It's the interest you generate from the characters that appear on the screen. It's not just the Elite. It certainly isn't just CM Punk. And I don't know any way that he'd be able to really come back from this. So yeah, it doesn't shock me to think that they're going to just buy his contract out and everybody will go on their happy little ways. I doubt Tony Khan wants any lawsuits, and so he's going to have to pay out some amount of CM Punk's contract that is left remaining, which is probably a hefty sum to ordinary schmoes like you and I. To a guy like Tony Khan, it's probably just a drop in the bucket. But yeah, I think that that's the only way this can play out. And yeah, hopefully AEW will be better for it. Hopefully Tony Khan will have learned a couple lessons here, and then we'll all get to move on. And this will all just be like a weird fever dream that we had for a year when CM Punk came back. And that's not to say his return hasn't been good. There's been a lot of really, really good stuff about it. I was a huge fan of his short-lived feud with Eddie Kingston and MJF, and I wish both those feuds could have actually lasted longer. Apparently the plan originally was for CM Punk to take on MJF at All Out, but then the MJF stuff happened. So yeah, that's the situation there. Hopefully it gets better. Let's move on to Grand Slam. Paige Soraya's back. The Hound 316 says, does this mean we may actually get more focus on AEW's women's division, or will it just be another 3-week push? They have a pretty damn good roster of women. So until I see more time devoted to the women's division, I won't believe that they're going to do it. Like I'm until I see that, I think that Paige coming back, the one caveat here is that according to Dave Meltzer, she has not been cleared to wrestle, which means they might try to fit her in storylines as an authority figure, as a manager, as a mouthpiece. I don't know what. But hopefully that means her time on camera will be spent concurrently with people as opposed to consecutively against other people, which means that hopefully she'll be on screen with people instead of taking up the screen time of other people, because I honestly just don't believe that Tony Khan's going to devote more time to the women's division. I think relatively recently he said there's not enough time in a 2-hour show to devote more than one match per show to the women's division. I'm not saying every episode has to have an hour and a half of women's division content, but it seems it just comes off like an obligation at this point. Between Rampage and Dynamite, I believe Grand Slam is going to end up at like 13 matches, 8 and 5, I think is 13. And 2 of them were devoted to the women's division. So that's not a great ratio. It's not a great number. And I feel they need to do better. I think WWE does a pretty good job with their women's division. It's featured. I like the performers there. Athena is one of my favorite wrestlers. I think she's one of the best wrestlers on the planet in the ring, and I'd love to see her featured more. Shavon says, with Walter/Gunther's recent 5-star match with Sheamus at Clash at the Castle, it ties him with Gargano as the 2 current WWE wrestlers with the most 5-star matches in their WWE career. Even though this is only one man's opinion, does this mean they're actually the best wrestlers in the company, or do those accolades not hold much value? In terms of being the top in-ring performers, it's really difficult to say. I mean, this is, look, I don't think that this is a cut and dry answer. I think certainly even before WWE, Walter was a guy who was putting on 5-star matches on a regular basis. In UK, he obviously was just putting on banger after banger. Of course, a lot of the credit there goes to his coworkers, the people he's working with in those matches. I get the feeling that the vast majority of WWE's roster could be 5-star match machines if that's what WWE was going for. It just kind of isn't, though. I think it's heading more towards that direction. I think Triple H obviously is spending more time of the WWE programming on actual in-ring content. But like, yeah, I get the feeling that like a lot of wrestlers on WWE's roster could be that. I think I'd still love to see Seth Rollins have like a run in the G1. That's probably not going to happen, or if it does, it'll be like super late in his career. But no, I get the feeling that a lot of wrestlers could do that. Let's see here. Uncomfortable Panda. Which mid-card guys on AEW and WWE do you think could be faces of the company in 5 years or less? I think Max Caster is one of them. I think Ricky Starks, obviously. I think Hobbs is one of those guys. I think if they really try with Wardlow, I think Wardlow could be. I think Wardlow's one of those guys who, like, after like 5 years or so, I think he's going to be one of those guys who's just a super good promo. I think he's going to be kind of like Batista, where he's just going to be able to do a lot of everything once he gets really comfortable being in there. As far as WWE's concerned, I don't know. They've got so many people. Like, their mid-card is just absolutely stacked. I mean, you've got guys like Gargano, Ciampa in the mid-card right now. Sami Zayn, I guess, would be considered in the mid-card. They've got a ton of people. Like Austin Theory's going to end up being the face of WWE. That's almost a guarantee. I think he's got too much talent, and I think Triple H is already in the process of like making that happen. And it's going to be interesting to see if he's able to do that to like the Cena level or the Roman Reigns level or whatever. Evan Ibach says, what was the first match you ever remember watching and enjoying? So, like, the first match that I remember thinking, oh my God, this was a really compelling pro wrestling match. Like, I started watching in 97, and I think I probably saw, like, Eddie Guerrero versus Rey Mysterio at Halloween Havoc. I probably saw that live. I'm not sure if I was paying enough close attention to it. The first one that really sticks out is The Rock versus Triple H, the ladder match. I think it was at SummerSlam 98. I think that's what it was. I remember watching that being like, oh, whoa, that's what they're doing. Like, that's sort of what a really good match looks like. So that's probably that one. Faker says, do you think the inclusion of Ring of Honor has been an overall positive or negative to AEW so far? There seems to be too many titles, but it's been given a nice spotlight to guys like Garcia and Yuta. So far, I'd say it's been a positive. I mean, for the Garcia storyline alone, I think it's been really good. Now Jericho has that title. I think that's a terrific story beat, by the way. Honestly, before the Garcia stuff, I would have said, yeah, it's sort of like a nothing. Although Claudio was I thought he made for a good Ring of Honor champion. I don't know. They need to get their own stories, their own show going. And you know, by the time that comes around, like a year from now, I don't think anybody will question it because they'll have something going on. It's given us at least one match of the year candidate in the Briscoes versus FTR in that 2 out of 3 falls match. So yeah, I don't see how you could say it's been a negative at all. I don't think it's taken away from anybody currently signed to AEW. A lot of people that were signed and not doing a lot are now doing stuff. Like Lee Moriarty's obviously going to be going after that pure title. You got Garcia and Wheeler Yuta able to now show off more of their personality, more Garcia than Wheeler Yuta. But yeah, no, I don't think that there's any negatives to it. Zoe says, do you ever get sick of wrestling? Honestly, no. It's weird. I don't. He continues, are there any current tropes or / cycles in wrestling's presentation of stories you find exhausting or that make watching, covering wrestling a chore? The only thing at this point that I kind of dread is AEW pay-per-views because they're so fucking long. I am not a fan of the long pay-per-view. I think WWE sort of spoiled us with like the 3-hour pay-per-view. I think those are perfect. 3.5 hours. That's like the perfect length for a pay-per-view. It's just match after match after match for 3.5 hours. I think that's great. But yeah, otherwise, no, I don't get tired of it. Nothing feels like a chore. Like Raw is still too long. Raw being 3 hours with the commercial breaks in there is a chore because it starts and stops and starts and stops. It's different than a pay-per-view that's 3 hours because every match means something. On Raw, even though they're trying to make everything mean something, All those commercial breaks, just sort of stop it and stop it and stop it. It's a lot better now. But yeah, that's kind of it. And then the length of AEW's pay-per-views is just too much. Everything else I really like, though. The Rusher asks if we should be concerned for Soraya's health. So, yeah, sure. But apparently she's not cleared to wrestle. And I hope that if she is cleared, she's cleared by like the best neck doctors on the planet Earth. Because I don't want to have to sit there clutching my pearls. Oh dear, her neck's going to go. Because that's scary stuff, man. Let's see here. Chris Freitas says, if Cody wasn't in WWE, would Sammy be the clear first choice to dethrone Roman? Sammy's kind of if they were like, hey Steve, guess what? It's Triple H. You get to choose who beats Roman. I'd be like, fucking Sammy. It's Sammy. It is 1,000% Sammy. But I don't think that's going to be the situation. I think it's probably going to be him and Owens taking those tag titles off the Usos. And it's probably going to be Cody beating Roman. But yeah, no, my first choice would totally be, are you kidding me? You do that in like, where's Sammy from? Canada or whatever? Yeah, and the roof would blow off the place. It would erupt. It would erupt. It'd be nuts. B-Man Patrick Sparks says, prime rib may be the best in catering. What do you think would be the mid dish and the worst dish? I don't know. After a little while, like if the salad doesn't stay fresh, like it might get like all sort of soggy and wilted and it's like moist, people coughing on it and shit. So probably like, I don't know, salad, I guess. The mid dish, I don't know. What doesn't like, is there like potato salad? Like if you show up at like 1:00 and catering's already out there, and then at like 4:00, you're like, oh, I want some of this potato salad. It's been sitting out here for 3 hours. That wouldn't be good. Let's see here. Sonar Goggles says, do you think Mox having 2 transitional runs as AEW champion is going to tarnish his legacy? I don't necessarily know that this is going to be considered a transitional run. I mean, is it obvious that they're going to have MJF pick up that title? Yeah. But if Mox has some cool feuds in the meantime, I don't think necessarily it's going to be transitional. But I guess maybe technically it would be because MJF is totally going to beat him for that title. But then, I mean, that's like saying, hey, Jericho's first run was transitional until they got to Mox. And Mox's run was transitional until they got, I don't know, because like everybody, you could see who was going to get the title next. Like you could see that. Hopefully they let Mox have a run with it. Maybe MJF tries and fails. I don't know. Things are less interesting when they're predictable, and I agree with that. But I don't think it's gonna tarnish his legacy at all, because his first run was lengthy. And he's been the guy that they put the title back onto for stability. I think that enhances his legacy, to be honest with you. Let's see here. Kuzco, out of the AEW 4 pillars, Darby Allin seems to have faltered off, and his partnership with Sting may have run its course. Should it be time for a change, like a heel turn on Sting? All the others have evolved. MJF is their top star. Sammy Guevara is the most hated man on the roster. And Jungle Boy has split from Luchasaurus. I think Darby's in a good position. I think I'd rather be Darby Allin than Jungle Boy right now. I'd probably rather be Darby Allin than Sammy Guevara right now. Darby's still wildly popular. I think the stuff with Sting is still fine. I think maybe he should be like, yeah, maybe starting to hint at going up a little further up the card. But I think that he's fine. I'd be happy if I was Darby Allin. Let's see here. All things Mario. Do you think with all the recent involvement in promotion Tony Khan has been doing, like his tweets and attempts to pump up the crowd, is just damage control, try to sway the audience from Brawl Out? I don't think it's damage control. I think guys trying to, yeah, his company's image took a hit with Brawl Out, with Muffin Mania. And so, yeah, he's trying to look at the positive. That's what he's always done. I think that's what a promoter should do. It's like, why are you don't focus on the negative? What, are you supposed to not tweet? Is he supposed to not pump up the crowd? Like, go out there and say, hey, we're here to have a good time. Don't worry about this shit. We're gonna have a good time. I think it's smart of him to do that. I don't think it's damage control necessarily. It's not in a negative sense. Johnny Burney says, do you think Bryan Danielson will ever win the AEW World title? He says, seems like Grand Slam was the best chance for it and it didn't happen. I think he probably will. I don't think it's I don't think it's going to harm him if he doesn't, but I think it'd be smart business to do that. He should be one of the next 4 guys to win it. Jack asks, when do you feel is the right time for MJF to cash in his chip and take the belt off Moxley? The cash in should play out like a Money in the Bank thing. I'll be honest with you. They're in Cincinnati in a couple weeks. He should do it there. That'd be nuts. That would be nuts if they did it in Moxley's hometown. I think it'd be great. Anyways, here's one last one. Ollie Chris Hossein says, did you buy a wrestling promotion? Not yet, but we're on the verge of doing it. There's a match coming up October 8th here in Sacramento. Action Coast Wrestling. The main event features a match. Alpha Zoe, Magnum AD, and El Flaco Loco taking on Joe DeSol, Johnny Butabi, and Trip Rogers. And if the good guys win, if Zoe and crew win, guess what? Me and Larson are buying Action Coast Wrestling from Joe DeSol. So, yeah, go check that out because we're probably going to be there as well, just waiting to sign those papers. Anyways, thanks for watching, everybody. I appreciate it. Check out this video over here. Till next time, I'll talk to you later.